The other data that supports this work that we're doing in prevention is called the asset approach, where there are 40 developmental assets in communities that we look at, that we point at. And when I say communities, I'm talking about those young people. There are assets that those young people have within them in order that we in prevention are building upon to make sure those are developed, right? So here you will see where that research is, where the Search Institute of Minneapolis have that research, and you have this supporting document to take you to those assets. One thing I want to say about that too is that as I was doing this work early on in prevention as well, we built a lot of our programs around those 40 developmental assets. And so the assets said, okay, there's a list of things that people tell young people not to do, but we built it upon it this way. What are these assets that are things that you can do, instead of teaching them in a negative way, like, hey, here's your list of things you can't do, in order to prevent substance misuse, don't do this, don't do that. Whereas the 40 developmental assets says, you know what, let me build on your strengths, let me build on your capacity within in order for you to delay the onset of that substance in your life. And so we look at the developmental assets. That's another approach that has been taken in order to build on this body of work that we use in substance misuse prevention. The developmental asset framework does this. I just kind of said that. It emphasizes on the strengths in the individual. It focuses on the youth as a resource, not a problem. It focuses on increasing the number of assets that is within that young person. And then it's more of a promising framework. So the reason why it says promising framework is that we have different types of frameworks in the work that we do. We have promising practices and we have evidence-based strategies. And so that's a promising approach. If you use the developmental assets in your work, I love it. To build it alongside of doing my work, as I look at how I use the strategic prevention framework, as well as how I look at my risk and protective factors. They're all weaved in together as we do our work. Let me pause there real quickly. Okay, so I'm assuming that I forgot to lower them. Okay, so these are examples here of the 40 developmental assets. All good, thank you. So these are some of the assets that as we do our work and as you build on your evidence-based practice that you may have and your organization may have identified, or your promising approach or your standards-based program that you are building upon, that you look at the asset. That's what this prevention history has taught us, that the asset said that you give them, that young people receive support, that their neighbors encourage them, that they feel safe, that they have positive adult role models, that they feel valued, that they have family standards, that their parents feel that school helps, that they want to do well, that young people read for pleasure, they stand up for their beliefs, they're optimistic and life purpose, and they resist peer pressure. Those are some of the 40 developmental assets that we as prevention practitioners try to incorporate in the practice of our work. And we also connect that with the science and collecting the proper data to say, you know what, when we do that, that works. How often are we doing that? And does it impact the change or that we are trying to assess?